Alright guys, welcome to Project Not So Slow. Our baby's back at the track. Yeah, last time the diff blew up, so we just took what we had left over from our E300, and we used the diff, shortened the axles, and we got a drive shaft from a W124, shortened that also. So it's a bigger drive shaft and bigger flex discs, bigger U-joint. What else is bigger? The diff is significantly bigger.
So hopefully this thing will get us down the track fastest time possible and stay in one piece.
Yeah. The only thing I'm kind of nervous about is the axle shafts, because they are exactly the same size as the original 190 axle shafts.
Except for they're modified now.
Yeah,
they're stronger because you added more metal.
Yeah, more metal is more stronger.
More metal, more stronger. All right, let's get it off the trailer and let's go down the track.
Getting all teched in. Beautiful. Piece of machinery. We'll install these big V8s. Here goes the little diesel. .17.0 108.
Something with the controller because it would shift very early, way too early. It shift like crazy early, not letting it build boost. So gotta do something about that. Gotta change up the controller a little bit. But after that, it felt pretty fast. Obviously that's not good. We gotta figure out something with the controller. We thought it would be better because the controller, the paddle shifters, someone told us that it takes 2 seconds for the paddles to be able to shift again, which we found out to be true. So when we were driving it this time, we decided to try to leave it in auto, but it would shift way too early. So gotta figure that out.
Alright, let's see what happens over there. He doesn't look very happy, unfortunately. So what happened?
Left in automatic, shifting at like 25, 3,000 RPM.
Oh, really?
That's the problem. That was exactly what
was it in W?
It is in W, yes. It was shifting very early. Well, under throttle, very early shifting. So then I swapped it into the manual, and it was doing the 2 second thing in between shifts where I would have to wait. But I mean, it was already like almost halfway down the track.
Yeah, but you still ran 108.
Yeah,
which
108.
once you went in the turbo spool, you were moving.
Yeah, and also I floored it this time.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming.
Do you have a GoPro looking at the boost?
I do have GoPros.
Okay, perfect. I want to see what it did.
Yeah, I think it probably just did 25 PSI.
That shirt looks so good. I'm not trying
25
to
PSI. So 1706 108. But yeah, it was it was very botched. We gotta figure out the controller, adjust it so it would shift at like 5,500 RPM instead of like 3,000.
Okay. So look through the whole car. Everything looks pretty good. One thing, had to tighten up the radiator hose down there just a little more. Nothing dangerous. Otherwise, it's ready to go back. What do we figure out? Absolutely nothing?
Absolutely nothing. We're just gonna try to, instead of using the pedals and not also using the automatic, we're gonna use what we're used to from way back in our days.
From the 7223.
Yeah.
It's just
so shift by the shifter.
We're kind of on limited time right now, so we want to tune the car, the engine, and see how well how the diff holds in the axles, and then
turn up boost a little bit.
So maybe the times won't be so amazing today, but we'll just get the car running down the track. The transmission, I guess, we'll work on a little later to get it perfect.
Let's raise the boost.
Yeah. Raise the boost. Not all
one
of it.
turn. Okay. All the way.
I heard a pop. That wasn't close. All right, Daniel. Spooler a little bit. That was a little too quick.
Driveshaft is bent. It's smacking something underneath. Something's not right. And it also wasn't shifting. Paddles aren't working. What the heck, dude? I think axle shaft broke. Axle shaft snapped on its side.
Well, he's driving all the way to the trailer, so I'm assuming that's not the engine. Oh, I don't see a smile. That's not a cute smile, bro. Very excited smile. What's going on?
First of all, this thing doesn't want to shift really, and I think you snapped the axle shaft.
Axle shaft?
Yeah.
You did it on the burnout. I heard it go.
I heard something go. Then
I heard something pop on the.
And then when it gripped, when the tires got sticky.
Come on. So, not even gonna happen in something here, huh? At first, I sounded almost like a rod knock.
No, it wasn't rod knock. It was way.
It was
back
like
there.
tick 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 like a rod knock. I'm like, no.
Let's see. I didn't look at the slip. I think it just.
Oh, right here. Your welds just destroyed itself.
Really?
Yeah. Right here, you see the sleeve is completely destroyed.
Wow. It twisted it, huh? I guess now I have to figure out some bigger axle shafts.
Yeah.
But the chances of, I think the only thing is to do is to go a different diff, probably.
You think different diffs though?
Well, because the reason I think different diff is because, I mean, I don't know if you find some axle shafts that will fit. The big, thicker axle shafts that will fit the unless you heavily modify them. But you have to.
At least the engine and transmission are still running good. You got to figure out the shifting because it didn't want to shift with its with the actual shifter, and then I tried to shift it with the paddles. Turns out you have to put it back into drive in order for it to shift with the paddles. So,
well, we strapped her back up. Unfortunately, turns out more metal is used incorrectly equals less metal.
yeah.
It looks like my weld threw a hole there somewhere, or the sleeve completely broke off the weld. Yeah, the sleeve completely broke and the whole axle shaft broke. The funny thing is, after his first run, I was just checking everything, how it went, and I was looking at this axle shaft and I'm like, why is the paint coming off? I'm like, no way is it twisting so much that the paint's coming off. But look at the amount of twist.
Yeah, it looks like it twisted literally a quarter of an inch from the first burnout.
I think it's a little bit more than even a quarter inch. Look how much it twisted. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Be like one more. Well, this is what happened. I know when I was watching you, you did the burnout.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately this track I can't stand really close to where you are, but
yeah.
You were way not in the water box. You were way past the water. Like
they told me to just do a burnout where I stood. So
you did a burnout for a little bit, and then right towards the end, I just hear like a bang. I'm like, I hope that's nothing important.
The funny thing is, I heard that bang too, and I still decided to go. I should have just gone out and checked.
Well, you already went, so it's all good.
All right.
At least you practiced the tree.
Yeah. At least
you waited for the green.
Yeah, you can hear in the car.
Waited for the green.
I just waited for the green. The green went, and then I slowly went off into the sunset. But then this transmission was still shifting poorly, so we got to figure out something with the transmission.
Yeah, that gives us a little bit of time to study the transmission, figure that out.
The first time it went 108 after like the 8th mile, because it didn't want to shift again because I left it in automatic, but it was shifting down at 3,000 RPM, so it didn't even like spool anything at all. It was just blowing smoke. Oh. So then I smacked it into manual with the paddle, and then floored it and got up to 108 after about a third of the track.
Yeah, on that first one, 108. I was actually surprised.
Yeah, it actually did very well. So
that's what I was thinking. This one was gonna go. Actually, one of the guys that was there, that was guiding you, he thought you were actually gonna go really, really fast.
Yeah.
He was actually saying like, watch. He's like, this is probably gonna be the one. Because you halfway down the track you basically took off the first time, and you went 108, that's pretty fast.
That's pretty especially I'm thinking if all went well earlier, if we at least kept it in manual mode and I floored it, I feel like it would have probably done at least 125, probably did 11, because that was fast. 108.
So I guess let's mention our fails this time.
Yeah, so we try to set up a line lock with a drift brake looking system.
We were hoping to increase our line locking capability with the drift brake.
And to try to build a lot more boost on the line.
And it was the cheapest one on Amazon.
The cheapest one on Amazon. It was such a pain to try to get a fitting to fit in that thing. Well, I should have read the reviews earlier, because after I bought it and couldn't find one, I looked at the reviews, and it was all saying that it's impossible to find a fitting for it, and it's super difficult, and they just return it.
Anyways, the big problem is that it did nothing.
It did nothing. I'm gonna say that it wasn't our brake that failed. I'm assuming that it was just old pads and rotors.
That's one thing. Yeah, the rotors had so much rust on them.
Yeah.
And we tried sanding them, and once on jack stands.
Put the car in third gear, let it spin, and just sandpaper on both sides of the rotor. But that still didn't work. It held less than the parking brake.
Yeah, actually a lot less.
A lot less than the parking brake. It built 0 pounds of boost with our drift brake, but with the parking brake and holding the brakes, it did at least 5 pounds.
So we're gonna have to redesign all that.
Yeah.
Figure something out.
Maybe not redesign. Maybe just get some new rotors and pads.
Well, but what it is successful, we got better camera, we got GoPro,
we got more angles,
we got shirts, and
stickers.
Back home we go. Hopefully we'll make it by dinner. It's a 3.5 hour drive.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, so we drove 3.5 hours. Drove the track really poorly once, just broke it, and now we're going home.
Thank you guys for watching. God bless you guys. God bless America. You guys have a good night.